The Canis Panther. Is it the ultimate protection dog breed, or is it just a glorified mutt? In this video, we're gonna dive in deep on the facts, the history, and everything you wanna know about this dog breed to determine if it's gonna be the right one for you and your family, or if you should look elsewhere. Let's get into it. To understand what the Canis Panther is, you need to understand why it was created in the first place. And to do that, we need to roll back to 1970 Southside Chicago. It was a time of fear, chaos, and decline. The streets of Inglewood, Southside Chicago, once a thriving community, had become ground zero for gang violence, break-ins, and rising homicide rates. Factories had shut down, poverty took hold, and police response was unreliable if they even showed up at all. Families were left vulnerable, trapped inside their own homes as crime spilled onto their porches and into their homes. If you lived there, you didn't feel safe behind locked doors. You needed something more, something powerful, something loyal, something that would stand between your family and the danger outside. This is the environment that gave rise to one of the most misunderstood and legendary dogs in protection history when a team of dedicated protection dog trainers in Chicago, namely Scorpio Jones, Michael Stratton, and Lucas Lopez, set out to develop an entirely new working breed. The Canis Panther was born, a breed by the people, for the people. The name Canis Panther was later adopted to project an image of seriousness and intensity, evoking the sleek, powerful qualities of a panther while reflecting the breed's protective nature. And from the beginning, the breed's goal was to create a dog that possessed exceptional physical strength and presence, high trainability and intelligence, a strong protective instinct balanced by calm behavior, and extraordinary stability in stressful or threatening situations. This dog was not bred for sport, show, or superficial looks, but for serious, real-world protection combined with household integration. Now that we've learned this really interesting backstory of the history of the Canis Panther, now it's to talk about the steps it took to create the Canis Panther. Now, first thing you gotta understand is that, again, it's a blend of breeds. We are talking about 4 main breeds that make up the Canis Panther, but there's actually 3 different lines that have come about over the last 50 years of breeding this dog, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first thing you wanna understand is that you're gonna see Doberman Pinscher in the line. Now, why is that? Well, those dogs are incredibly intelligent, very loyal, and come right out of the box ready to protect. We know that, but they wanted something a little more extreme than just your average typical Doberman Pinscher, so they added in Black Great Dane. Why would they do that? Deeper bark, bigger presence, just a taller, more muscular, big dog that's gonna handle business. Next up, they added in the Black Labrador Retriever. Now, why would, if they're trying to make a protection dog, would there be Black Lab in there? I want a dog that's gonna be socially stable and very protective of the family. And if you can think of no other dog that's gonna be great with the family other than the Labrador Retriever, but why the Black Lab? That we'll cover later. And last but not least, what's in the original recipe? Black American Staffordshire Terrier. Now, why did they go with that? The size, the bulk, the tenacity, that no give up attitude, and the muscularity that you can get from an American Staffordshire Terrier. But she is slightly different. In any Canis Panther you come across, you gotta check the genes, because there's always gonna be a slight variation, because it's still a recipe in the making, so to speak. And in one of the lines, which is her particular line, she's actually more of like a Canis Panther 2.0, or what we might refer to as a Canis Pit. Now, why is that? There's no American Staffordshire Terrier in her genetics. They've replaced that with the American Pit Bull Terrier, a little bit of a leaner, more athletic dog and smaller in stature. That's where you're gonna see she's a little smaller and barely is gonna hit the minimum height and weight requirement of your typical Canis Panther. Her exact genetics will throw them up. You're gonna see it's 40+% American Pit Bull Terrier, and then 21%, give or take, Doberman Pinscher, 13% Labrador, and Great Dane 22%. So pretty cool dog. I like her a lot, but no matter what breed you get, no matter what line of Canis Panther you get, maybe you're in the market for a badass protection dog, a Boerboel, a Cane Corso, a Rottweiler, a Doberman Pinscher. It really doesn't matter what breed you get. You gotta do your research and you gotta select from the right breeder. But once you do that, the work is still ahead of you. You gotta get that dog trained, because if you don't, it's no longer an asset to your family, it's a walking liability. What are we talking about? You want it to protect your family? Awesome. Knock at the door and it takes a bite out of the mailman. That's a problem. If it bites Aunt Susie or your neighbor's kid, that is not a dog that can be allowed around your family or other dogs or small children, because it, again, is a liability. Now, how do we avoid that? Proper training early on. Where do you get the proper training for dogs of this caliber? That is what we're gonna provide to you in our 100% free course available at DIYcanine.com. It's called Dog Training Decoded, and it was designed for dog owners just like you to help you determine what is the best training that's gonna fit your needs, your budget, your time constraints, your lifestyle. We present every single option available to you around the world. We're talking about private training, boarding and training, group training, do-it-yourself training, old school training, balance training, positive only training. We weigh out the pros and cons so that you can make an informed decision on what's gonna be the best fit for you and your family. Highly recommend you check it out. It's 100% free. And speaking of free, if you want some more badass free content, where else better to find it than right here on YouTube, where we have a ton of other videos going deep dive on all these other dog breeds, protection or otherwise, in so many different ways that you can bring the best out of your dog. Now, enough yapping. Let's roll into the next section. We find out some more breed facts about this amazing animal, the Canis Panther. All right, now we're gonna talk about breed facts. We're back with Miss Nix, but we also added in Miss Stephanie, my amazing wife.
Hello.
She's gonna tell us some of those breed facts. Come on, take it away. Talk to us about the height and weight.
All right. So height for the males, you're talking 27 to 30 inches at the withers, and 24 to 27 inches for females.
Now, if you were to take a male home, would you rather the one at 27 inches, or do you need those extra 3 inches to bring him up to 30? What do you think?
I like me a nice big dog, so.
That's what she said. Ha!
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Now, what about the weight?
Males, about 115 to 140 pounds, which is a massive spread. Females are 85 to 105.
Which increases the spread even more. So 85 all the way up to 140 pounds, which goes into what's in those genetics. What are you gonna get? What about the coat and the color?
The coat is short, sleek, and tight to the body, and she is a perfect example of that.
Yep.
Their coats, they're predominantly a jet black. They can also be a chocolate brown or a buckskin, which is fawn or a tan. Merle, brindle, and white are not allowed.
Disqualified.
Correct. And blue, the verdict is out on that one. Some research says yes, some research says no, so nobody really knows.
Post in the comments below. You let us know, is blue acceptable or not? Now, she does have this little patch of white on her chest. I have no idea if that disqualifies her or not. You can post in the comments below as well. I think she's pretty cool. Now, we had talked about earlier on in the genetics, why did they go with the black Great Dane, a black Amstaff, I don't even know that existed, and a black Labrador Retriever? Why not the yellow Lab? Because they wanted 4 things checked off the box. First and foremost, the intimidation factor. And it's true, we take Thanos, for example. He's a black, sleek looking dog, and when people see him, they go, wow, very impressive. But if Thanos was like all white with some kind of pink undertones with his skin, he would look less impressive. Next thing, the stealth factor. If you have a dog like a Canis Panther patrolling your backyard, they can blend in more, make a burglar think twice about jumping that fence. They can sneak up on you, bite first, ask questions later. Next up, uniformity of the breed. When they were developing the Canis Panther, they didn't want 30 different colors out there. They wanted to be, when you see it, you know exactly what you're looking at, and if it's black, and it's sleek, and it's badass looking, and it's not a Doberman, chances are it's a Canis Panther. Last but not least, back in the late 70s, early 80s, they were originally, according to some stories, the original name of this dog was actually gonna be Black Panther. Now, a couple reasons behind that. Late 70s, early 80s, Chicago, Inglewood area, they thought they might go that direction, then thought better and said, ah man, for political reasons, that probably won't go well. It's gonna be a little hard to sell a dog named that. Who's gonna buy it? We don't know. But they did at least want to think about if you're out in the Amazon jungle somewhere and maybe a black jaguar comes jumping out and chases you down, it'd be like a scene from Apocalypto. Long story short is the point that whether it's a black panther or a black jaguar or a black Canis Panther coming after your ass, it's definitely enough to strike fear in the heart of someone that was gonna do bad or harm to your family. But having said that, what's some other intimidation factors, starting from the front here, that might add to the allure of this breed?
So the standard is for their ears to be cropped. Their tails can be either long and tapered or docked.
Yep, and she is docked, but no matter which way you slice and dice the Canis Panther, no matter what genetics you have, ultimately what you're looking for is a dog with broad skull, short muzzle, a deep jaw with a strong bite, eyes alert with an intelligent expression, which I think she knocks that out of the park, wide chest, strong shoulders, and a deep rib cage. You put all those things together, you got yourself a badass Canis Panther. Now on to the next section. All right, folks, now we gotta talk about the exercise needs of the Canis Panther. They are working dogs. From the very beginning, that was their purpose. They are bred to be badass protectors. You're gonna see how much energy they're just gonna exert while I'm just trying to stand here and talk to the camera. They need a little bit more than just your typical walk per day. They are not an English Bulldog that's gonna be completely gassed out just from walking to the mailbox and back. 1 or 2 walks a day, is barely cutting it. This dog needs a purpose in life. So whether that's playing fetch, playing scent detection games, doing protection work, putting their ass on a treadmill once or twice a day, they got to get out and run, but that's just covering their physical exertion. We got to get them mentally satisfied as well. Now, if you want to find out some tips and tricks on how to mentally satisfy your dog, especially if it's super hot out, it's super cold out, it's raining, it's snowing, it's COVID-19 part 2, oh my God, then check out our long form video right here on YouTube where we show you the top 5 activities you can do with any dog at home starting right now to satisfy them both mentally and physically. But let's put it succinctly, this dog needs their energy needs met all day, every day. If you don't do that, they are gonna rearrange your house in not positive ways, let me tell you. Now it's time to talk about the family suitability of the Canis Panther. If we go back to the genetics being 25% black lab, what other breed could you think of that competes with the black lab when it comes to being that all-American perfect family dog? The only other one that comes to mind is the golden retriever. They're tied for first place, but the black lab is that perfect dog for the family that you can trust to be amazing with kids, little infants, toddlers, all the way up to 16, 18 years old, you name it. And I think that's really shining through when we see her. I can see the black lab in her eyes. I can see the gentle nature of her. There's some haters out there, whether it's an Amstaff or a Pit Bull, they lump them into one clump and they go, oh my God, horrible, dangerous breed. But those who really know the breeds, those are amazing family dogs. Pit Bulls and Amstaffs, they are just unbelievably loyal. And as you see here, that's exactly what you might expect out of a Pit Bull, out of a black lab, out of an Amstaff. And so that's the one thing I can say about this particular breed or blending of breeds that does make me interested in it, or that gives me that little check mark. Is like, yeah, we watered it down, we softened it up so that you can have exactly what you see here. And I think no matter what her genetic makeup is, and honestly, what the genetic makeup of any dog is, this is ultimately what we're looking for, a dog that can be social and stable around your family. And right now, Nix is checking those boxes to a very high level. And again, you are helping yourself by putting in the proper genetics to begin with. Black lab, Amstaff, and or Pit Bull, that's going to bring about an amazing family dog, as you see here. So high regards in that aspect, and my seal of approval, if you will. Now it's time to talk about the health and grooming requirements of the Canis Panther. We're gonna knock out grooming requirements because it's so freaking easy. This dog, all you gotta do is brush its coat once a week, brush its teeth once a night, and read it a bedtime story, and you are good to go. Look, all jokes aside, the only thing you have to deal with is if you crop the ears at that young age, you're gonna have to post them up, and it's a little bit of a pain in the ass for the first couple of months. They don't shed much, they don't drool, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Moving on, let's talk about the health. We got 4 different breeds making up this genetic diversity of this dog, which is good and bad. Here's the bad news. Dobermans, Great Danes, Amstaffs, Labradors all come with their own genetic defaults. However, when you don't run something that's, quote, purebred, you increase the genetic diversity of the pool, meaning the offspring are less likely to carry on those genetic defects. Let me try to explain that to you in a different way. If you have 2 Doberman Pinschers and you breed them together, and both of them have in their genetics the Doberman Pinscher's dilated cardiomyopathy, basically bad heart, the offspring are more likely to have, guess what? The same heart defect. Now, Amstaffs are also known for having skin allergies. So if you got a mom with skin allergies or a dad that has skin allergies somewhere in the genetic history, chances are the offspring will, guess what, have skin allergies. But what if you bred a Doberman Pinscher that has the genetic default of the heart issue and an Amstaff that has the skin allergies prone to being there? The offspring actually are less likely to carry on the traits of either of those. It's kind of like 1 + 1 = 2 in the case of the 2 Dobermans, but in the case of the Doberman and Amstaff, it's 1 + A = neither of the 2. And so that's what you get sometimes with a blended breed, is they kind of cancel out some of those genetic traits, and you can have a healthier dog. So when you have a blended breed, that's one of the pros of the Canis Panther. We'll put +1 in that quadrant of the health. They tend to be pretty healthy dogs. Now, they are a large breed dog, so they are prone to bloat. They can also have hip dysplasia, come along with large dog breeds. Other than that, what I would suggest is no matter what breed you get, Canis Panther or otherwise, always get that genetic testing, always consult with the breeder, make sure the dogs are tested, have that health, temperament, and guarantee. Now it's time to talk about the trainability and the temperament of the Canis Panther. This is the section you want to pay probably the most attention to. When it comes to the trainability of this dog, obviously with its high level of intelligence and its athleticism, you can train it to be a bad badass personal protection dog. Now, as far as the temperament, you couple those two, this dog not only gonna have the drive to perform, but it's gonna be able to withstand if someone does break into your house and cause some trouble. It's really a badass guardian breed at heart, but that can also flip on you and cause you a tremendous amount of grief, and let me explain why. If you don't know how to train dogs, you might think that this dog's gonna come right out of the womb, right out of the factory, ready to handle business. Nothing could be further from the truth. You have to cultivate that, and you have to also take all of that horsepower, drive, and torque and channel it in a positive direction, meaning you probably wanna do bite work with this dog, meaning you have to teach the dog how to bite, when to bite, and probably more importantly, when not to bite and how to let go when it's time to let go. If you don't have an asset on your hands, you have a liability. You have a dog with all of that intelligence, all of that drive, all of that dominance, all of that kind of rough temperament that, if again not channeled properly, is not going to respect you at all. So you need to be able to step up as a leader, and you need to understand that this dog with its high intelligence might know that you have no idea what you're doing and walk all over you and your family. And once again, now we have a big problem. So my suggestion to you, if you're not already, subscribe to this channel so you can learn how to train and maintain, whether it's your Canis Panther or any other dog breed you get. And if you really want to take it to the next level, make sure you check out our DIY canine courses, because we're going to be there 24/7, 365 to make sure we help you train your dog to be the best that it can be. Now, going back to the thought of the Canis Panther, a badass dog, make sure you know what you're doing and make sure you actually train that dog so that you can control its temperament. So is the Canis Panther ultimately going to be the protection dog that you need for you and your family? Well, look, folks, it is baked into the DNA of this dog, so there's no question about it. Now, depending upon what line you go with, you may have a dog that's a little bit more defensive, a little bit more territorial, or you may have a dog that's got more prey drive like this one, but you can always channel that prey drive with proper protection training. You can get a dog that can bite the sleeve and look the part, and I think that's what we're really getting at is, does this dog look the part? 99.99% of you, all you need is a dog that looks the part, a dog that will actually do the work. Guess what? I don't care how well trained it is, will never stand up to an intruder armed with a gun. And then many of you get your hands in with a dog, could be a Canis Panther, could be a Cane Corso or Boerboel, that is so damn powerful, so damn defensive, so damn protective that you gotta lock them up in a crate anytime someone comes over to the house. And I gotta ask you, if they're locked up in the back room or a crate, how much protection are they actually doing? So there's always an interesting conversation and a fine line when it comes to what do you really need when it comes to a protection dog. But point blank period, yes, that's exactly what this dog was built for. That's in the DNA between the Doberman, the Amstaff, the Pit Bull, the Great Dane, you name it. Maybe not so much the Black Lab. With proper training, you can have a dog that can absolutely be an asset to your family. But we will tell you, if you don't have the proper training, like the type of training we do here on this channel, you're gonna have a dog that's gonna be out of control and no help to you and your family. And that's not gonna help you when a stranger comes knocking at your back door if you can't control the beast. So think about that no matter what breed you choose. And now it's time for the dog score, where we're gonna rate the Canis Panther in 10 different categories, each worth up to 10 points for a total possible score of 100 points. Let's break it down, starting with the score of practicality. The Canis Panther is not a take anywhere kind of dog. We're talking about a large, powerful, highly protective animal. First off, you're gonna need a large vehicle to transport them in comfortably and make sure it's not too high, or you may have trouble loading and unloading them. Next up, given their temperament, taking them to crowded public spaces or expecting them to roam off leash at the local park while you have a picnic might not be in your future. So for practicality, we give a score of only 5 out of 10. Next up, temperament. Inside of the family unit, loyal, affectionate, bonded for life, but with strangers, expect wariness at best, outright suspicion at worst, and they were bred to be guardians first and pets second. And that protective edge can make them a handful for softer or inexperienced owners, and for that, we also give them a 5 out of 10. On the next category of workability, they can absolutely work. Protection sports, obedience, perimeter patrol. It's in their wheelhouse, but their work is usually very limited in scope to protection. You don't usually see them doing other work or sports like dock diving, agility, hunting, or running around a farm all day herding cattle. And finally, due to their larger size, they lack the stamina of some of the smaller and leaner breeds, and for that, we give a score of 7 out of 10. Now, on the family category, if you're in their circle of trust, you're golden. They'll guard the kids, the house, and probably the backyard squirrel population, but their size and strength mean not everyone in your family can safely handle them, especially smaller smaller kids, the grandparents, and definitely not your sweet and slightly special Aunt Susie, who not only has too much hairspray in her perm, but who also doesn't have the first clue that she won't be able to stop the dog from killing the mailman by simply waving a little dog biscuit in the air. And for that, we give the family score of only a 6 out of 10. Now in the protection category, you already know this is where the Canis Panther is going to shine. Has a high pain tolerance, has that serious suspicion towards strangers, and a physical presence that makes you glance around the room to make sure you're definitely near the closest exit in case things get a little froggy with the dog. Now, even without training, their presence alone will make most bad guys think twice, but with training, if you're a bad guy, you're and therefore, we give the Canis Panther a solid 10 out of 10. Now in the exercise category, this is a dog that's not necessarily a couch potato, but definitely not a marathon runner either. A couple of structured walks, a training session or two, and some mental work each day will keep them happy. But if you neglect that, you're gonna have 100+ pounds of bored, frustrated muscle looking for trouble. And for that, we give them a 5 out of 10. Now in the grooming category, we're talking a 9 out of 10. Why? Because they have that short, sleek coat, low shedding, easy maintenance, just a quick wipe down or a bath, and they're good to go. No drool issues like you get with some of those massive type Guardian breeds, which is a big bonus. Now, the only reason they don't get a 10 out of 10 is if you choose to crop the ears, which is kind of the breed standard, you're gonna have to properly take care of those ears those first few months to make sure your dog doesn't get the ear equivalent of a lazy eye. Now, in the health category, we're talking a healthy 7 out of 10. Reason being, the Canis Panther can be a healthy and robust breed when bred responsibly. Like all large dogs, you're gonna need to watch for those joint issues, maintain a healthy weight, and stay alert for those common health concerns that come with big breeds, such as bloat. Being a blended breed, however, they're less likely to suffer from many of the genetic faults seen in purebred dogs. However, we can't score them any higher than a 7 out of 10 in this category because a high percentage of that Great Dane DNA can shorten their lifespan to around only 7 to 9 years, which is a bit less than you'd expect for a dog of this size. Now, in the next category of trainability, we're talking about a dog that is highly intelligent and more than capable of learning just about anything you want to teach them. But here's the thing, they're not push-button Labradors or Golden Retrievers. They're a harder dog that won't take orders from just anyone in your household, especially if they figured out that they're the big dog on campus and you're not going to back up your words with any action. So you're going to need to be consistent, confident, and willing to enforce those boundaries, or they'll happily run the show. But overall, for the trainability score, a solid 7 out of 10. And now, in the final category you've been waiting for, X Factor. Let's be honest, the real hook here is the look and the rarity of this breed. The name is cool, and walking one feels like taking a Black Panther or a Jaguar down the street on a leash. They look the part, and trust me, they're gonna act the part. Almost nobody has one, so it's like being the first person in your city to roll up in a Tesla Cybertruck. People stare, they point, they ask questions, they think it's so cool. Now, the production quality might still be a little questionable because it's a newer breed, but for now, you're the cool kid on the block. But just remember, just like the Cane Corso used to be the same way, new, rare, and turning heads until everybody and their mom got one, and just like the Cybertruck, once they're everywhere, just not as cool anymore.
Go yourself.
That being said, the Canis Panther, which is still cool, which is still fresh, which is still new, the X Factor score for the Canis Panther is a solid 9 out of 10. When we add up all the points, the Canis Panther earns a 70 out of 100. That puts them in the same scoring neighborhood as heavy hitters like the Boerboel, the Doberman, and the Presa Canario. They're not topping the chart like the Cane Corso at 74, but they are still an elite guardian breed for the right person in the right family. Ultimately, only you can prevent forest fires, just as much as only you can decide what's the perfect dog breed for you and your family. We hope this video helped educate and entertain and illustrate whether or not this dog is the right breed for you or not. Now, if you want to dive in a little deeper on more dog breeds, check out this playlist right here where we dive in deep on all the dog breeds you may be considering, help you determine whether the right dog for you or not. Now, having said that, I don't care which dog breed you go with. You already know you better get some training, and the best place to do it is right here with us at American Standard Dog Training and or DIYcanine.com. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.